guys at you at Acura 2 Corner Performance. Just letting you know, everyone's been asking a lot of questions, so we're going to talk about a couple things today. Why I got rid of the Honda Accord for a new platform that I picked up. But first, I do want to talk about a couple of things that we did, highlights with the Accord. Currently, we are still the only person that won 1192 with the Type R Turbo. I know a bunch of guys are trying to break that record, and good luck. It's it can be done, but it's going to cost you everything to get it done. Putting your car to the extreme test to get that done for that record. We also won 1140 after that. I'm currently sitting in the top 3 with 1140 with that setup, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I do want to talk a little bit about the 1192 setup. That was a Type R Turbo, and basically what we did was a full bolt-on. We did the catless downpipe, we did the front pipe on that car, we had a Type R Turbo, we had a volume 1 intake on that car from PRL, we had a tune, basically that was done by Froz at eShift and Pro eShift, and that's really about it for the most part. And we had the PRL intercooler. We did have meth injection, okay, and that was on only a 250 nozzle when we went 1192. So you don't need a lot of craziness to get power out of these cars. And that's what everyone needs to understand. You don't have to push the car to the absolute limit to get every bit of horsepower to go at these trap speeds. At that point, I believe that car was probably making about 400 to the ground roughly, maybe a tad under, with that Type R setup on our dyno that we saw. So any questions, concerns, obviously I'll help you guys out. A lot of you guys have already reached out to me and we did talk about that. Then we went to the next step. We had all those modifications on there. The only thing we changed is that we went to an MHI turbo on the car, and we did use a volume 2 from PRL, which is probably the intake that everyone should have had from the beginning, or actually they should have released it from the beginning. It does help on the top end a little bit. And I went 1140 with that, and that was without a ported intake manifold or a throttle body, and I will get into that. So that setup, the car yielded some good, decent power. It probably made an honest 470, 480 when we were 1140 on our dyno jet. Hub dynos were a little higher, and again, dyno jets are going to vary, but from what I saw, the car is making about a 475, 480 horsepower on that setup. So 1140 right off the bat. I went with Derek Robinson on that setup only because he knew a couple different things I explained in the other videos that we weren't able to figure out. So really, Derek is a fantastic tuner. Froz is a fantastic tuner. Just that Derek knew a couple of things that I explained in the other video that we kind of figured out after we had some things set up on it. So other than that, there was no big deal as far as going through the 2 tuners. I'm going to talk about again the setup. So if you want to make over 500 horsepower, a couple guys have talked about this already. Gianni was probably one of the first people out there that talked about it. So shout out to Gianni when he had his Accord. The ported intake manifold does help, and the throttle body also helps. But I will tell you right now, you're going to lose some mid-range. No one's talking about this. I'm going to tell you now. You're going to lose a good 10 to 15 horsepower from what we saw on the dyno when Derek was tuning the car in the mid-range. You can turn the boost up a little bit in those sections and kind of even it out, but from what we saw, for apples and apples, you're going to lose. Where you're going to gain is when you start pushing that MHI to the limit. When you start pushing over 30 PSI is where we saw the 507 to the gram. So we weren't able to crack anything over 490 without the ported intake manifold and the throttle body. If you turn the MHI up anything over 32 PSI, it actually just didn't make any power. So we turned it back down to like 29, 30 with Derek, and it was like 490, and it was fine. When we added those 2 pieces on the car and we turned it up, it did turn around and make the 507. So it does help, but probably for your everyday use, for the everyday guy, I'm going to tell you, it depends on what your power goal is. You probably don't need to go that far. unless you're trying to break some records and get every inch of power out of the Accord. Why I got rid of the Accord, for me it was just kind of time at the end. A lot of new platforms came out. I'm going to reveal those today and we're going to talk about it a little bit. But there was nothing wrong with the Accord platform. I actually really enjoyed the Accord platform. It was a fantastic car, but I wanted something a little bit different. I had the car since 2018. The car ran flawless. I never blew it up, no training issues. The car was phenomenal. Alex is out there, still currently our #1 guy. I do believe he won 11-1. When we do have a new contender out there. Andy's basically out there going to go 11s for the first time with a guy with a 6-speed. So hats off to Andy, that's coming real soon. Either of those guys will help you out tremendously with any questions and things you may have. Alright, everyone's been waiting for this. Everyone's been asking me on Instagram, Facebook. So the reveal time is now. And I'm going to reveal my brand new vehicle that everyone's been asking me for. Here we go. Yes, it's the Integra Type S. And all I can tell you is stay tuned. A lot of content coming your way. This car is phenomenal. That's all I can tell you right now is pictures do not do this car justice until you go and see one in person. And why I bought the Type S is just because I can expand this platform a little bit better. It has a 6-speed transmission and the car is just like no other you see on the road. It's a very hard car to get. I know where you guys can get one actually. And not get beat over the head. So if you want to talk about it, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram or Facebook, YouTube. Stay tuned for new content. We got some things coming out for it. After I finish breaking in, we're going to dyno the car just right stock as it is. And everything I do this car, I'm going to dyno every single piece. So stay tuned and we'll see what happens.